निकलती ही नहीं है अंग्रेजी में. So yes, I will be speaking in a combination. So as I said, when I started my career, the terminology which says mind, we cannot see it, and we are all the time using it. So it was really interesting how to work around this idea, which seems so close to us, so much we experience all the time, and we do not know how to express it or how to even say it. In fact, in our regular academic or education system, this idea of mind and mental health doesn't exist. And in fact, it is the place where we use our intelligence and mind the most. In fact, there is no mention of this whole aspect of uh, mental health or mind or where is it or how to use it. It just does not exist. So making a career in a in a domain where there is there is no physical experience of it, there is no grossness to it, there is no subtlety to it. How do you work with it? In fact, we are with it 24/7. um, तो बड़ा मजा आता था. तो एक बार ऐसा हुआ during my years of psychotherapy and sessions, we came across one of the events where one of the Padma Bhushan in awardee, Dr. V.M. Hegde, he was invited, and he took a session on mental health and medicine. Interestingly, while he was taking those sessions, you know, people were asking him some questions, and while he was giving the lecture, and he said, people are working on physical health, mental health, emotional health, and so many aspects. Specifically, he was focusing on the medical part of it and the medicine part of it. While going through his whole session, one of the points came where he said, what is it that we are working on when we are working with patients or people who come with illnesses? It's the mind. And he was asking this question to everyone: so where is mind? And what is mind? Where is mind? So everyone was that, everyone knows that it exists, but does not know how to describe this idea called mind. So he said, never mind. Don't mind this mind. Let it be. So something which is so close, we are living 24/7, yet it is something the most undescribable part of us. Or yes, it has created so much of havoc, including a little virus which has created so much of havoc in our lives. I haven't experienced the amount of fear and phobia that I have come across in these last 2 years. तो जैसे मैं कह रही थी कि it has shaped so many part of us. क्यों ये mental health इतना important हो गया है? कितना इसका जो emergence जैसे मैंने कहा कि 2 साल में मैंने देखा है, इतना मैंने कभी नहीं देखा. क्योंकि अगर मैं खुद ही if I reflect back in the last 2 years, in fact it is still not over. But if I reflect in the last 2 years, the 2 years it has kept us in many ways in isolation. Like we were isolated in many ways. Like March 2020, in fact, 25th of March 2020, when it started, वो जब लॉकडाउन शुरू हुआ था उस समय जो हमें आइसोलेशन में रहना पड़ा, we had to be with our family. So that isolation was not only physical isolation, but there was a lot of isolation that came in along with it. So for the first time, we experienced what isolation is, whether it exists in the physical domain, whether it exists in the emotional domain, whether it exists in the relational domain. It was existing almost everywhere. 2-3 महीने तो आराम से निकले, लेकिन जिस तरीके से 2 साल में I feel everyone went through so many challenges, because right now I'm not focusing only on people who are in the domain of career, or who are in the domain where there's a profession or a passion. This talk is not at all entrepreneurial focused or something people who are in a certain profession. This talk is more focused on how the mental health has affected us in the last 2 years. If I talk about myself, I, being in this profession of caregiving, um, has experienced plethora of changes that has occurred in the whole process of this called self and mind. Uh, क्योंकि last 1 year में I myself experienced one. I have two kids. One is a 16-year-old, another is a 5-year-old. So I haven't experienced the kind of challenge that I went through as a parent to handle a 5-year-old. Right now he's 6. How to handle a 6-year-old, and secondly, what is the experience of loss, pain, grief, because I lost my father during the COVID. So losing somebody who is around you, somebody who's related to you, somebody who's a friend is one thing, and losing someone who's your father or a mother, in fact, who's your parent, is another experience in itself. So I lost my father last year. So these two things have been very, very challenging as a human being in the last 2 years. So the amount of grief and pain, these are the words which, I experienced with the cases, and I handle those kind of cases. And to go through that firsthand was another experience in itself. तो उस समय जो आइसोलेशन क्या होता है, इनफैक्ट वी ऑल हैव, मतलब जब मेरे पिताजी को कोविड हुआ, बिकॉज ही वाज ऑलरेडी 75 एंड he had multiple issues. He had Parkinson, he had other issues too, health issues too. So at that time, all the members in the family had COVID. In fact, I come from a joint family, so we are almost 30 to 40 people staying together. I'm talking about my maternal side. So we are a big, huge family, and at that point of time, we almost 20, around 20 25 people we had COVID, and he had COVID, and the kind of isolation that happens, the kind of helplessness that you go through, the kind of effect it has on effect it has on your mind and psyche was an experience in itself. कि illness आपके mind को कैसे affect करता है, और जब आप आप यहाँ पर इंडिपेंडेंस की बात करते हैं कि वी कैन हैंडल आवरसेल्फ, आई कैन हैंडल माई सेल्फ, और दूसरी हम बात करते हैं इंटरडिपेंडेंस की, जब आप सोसाइटी में रह रहे हैं, यूर सोशल बीइंग और सोशल पर्सन, उस समय जब आपको certain transactions से go through करना पड़ता है, certain way of being you have to handle, the kind of experiences you have shapes you a lot. So it was very, very challenging for all of us to go through the stages that we went through, while seeing one person going through it, and we are being all helpless. People who are responsible, accountable, who can help, is unable to help when a person is going through so much of trauma and going through so much of mental health issue and going through a physical health issue. So the kind of effect it has on the psyche was, it is something which is I cannot describe. That time I understood how much it affects. Mental health is not about something which exists here. It is existing in so many parts of us, and how that integration is required to handle the external world is what came to me so in a black and white manner. तो बहुत सारी डीप लर्निंग्स रही कि आप एक इमोशन को हैंडल करने जाते हैं तो क्या होता है, आप फिजिकल एस्पेक्ट को हैंडल करने जाते हैं तो क्या होता है, आप अपने सेंसेस को हैंडल करने जाते हैं तो क्या होता है, आप आपके पैशन को या पर्पस को हैंडल करने जाते हैं तो क्या होता है. तो अंदर में इतनी सारी चीजें चलती रहती है, मतलब हर चीज अलग अलग. आप एक चीज को पकड़ने जाते हैं तो दूसरी चीज निकल के आती है, दूसरी चीज को पकड़ने जाते हैं तो तीसरी चीज निकल के आती है. तो ये जो पूरा एकदम खिचड़ी बनी हुई थी, इट वाज सो मच एंटैंगल्ड, एंड टू disentangle the whole process was very, very challenging. At the same time, I'm in a profession where people don't come and speak, talk happy things with me. People are speaking something which is very deep to them, which is closer to them, which is more vulnerable part of them. तो बहुत ही क्या कहेंगे, सुंदर एक्सपीरियंस, आई कैन से दैट, बिकॉज इट्स अ गिफ्ट व्हेन यू कैन You can, one is go through yourself. Second, you can handle or help someone who's around and going through the same process. और ऐसा हुआ भी कि when I lost my father, I started getting such kind of cases where death and dying was the most prominent thing that was happening last year. If I don't know, everyone knows it was the most difficult phase. The wave, the second wave was the most difficult time, and in fact, we as a family went through the most difficult time in the second phase. So ऐसा हुआ कि मैं खुद एक महीने के लिए was going through a most challenging time, and at that point of time, the kind of cases I was getting was more towards death and dying. तो मुझे ये भी समझ में नहीं आ रहा था कि ऐसा कैसे हो रहा है कि मतलब मैं खुद अपने लाइफ में ऐसे चैलेंजेस फेस कर रही हूँ, एंड आई डोंट नो बिकॉज ऑफ व्हाट changes that is happening around, that I'm getting such kind of cases. So yeah, that helped me to process the pain and the grief, how it affects us, and that is, and how we even emotionally kind of isolate ourselves. Right now, I'm talking about myself and the kind of cases I came across. So that is one learning which I tremendously had, and how nature helps in recuperating. Because see, there is one way of healing. There are healing modalities, and there is another way where you can use many unconventional ways to handle the mental health. Mental health, it feels that it is more of talking therapy, or people come over and speak and talk, and it can be healed and taken care of. That is one of the aspects, but there are many modalities to it from which and where you can handle this aspect. So this was one time when I learned different ways through which we can process ourselves and the different parts within us, which is seeking attention, and kind of coming over and asking for asking for healing, or asking it to be whole or accepted. So for me also, specifically, I'm talking about one of the aspects which is more of death and dying, nature, connecting to the nature, connecting to flowers. It can heal was one of the most eye-opening process for myself. That okay, through flowers also you can heal yourself was one aspect that I learned, and secondly, uh, the idea of independence literally shattered, that the society doesn't exist in isolation. This is something which we know conceptually. This is something we talk about, that collaboration, teamwork, interdependence, so many aspects we are talking about. But when you experience that in reality, when you experience through the process, through life itself, is another aspect altogether. कि interdependence का role or macro level of health का role. Micro is more towards what is you going through, and at the macro or at the collective level, what you go through is another process in itself. तो macro level पे जब illness आती है, या फिर macro level पे आप ये देखते हो कि हर किसी को वही हो रहा है, हर everyone is going through certain stage of loneliness, everybody is going through certain stage of emotional upheaval, everyone is going through certain stage of illnesses, everyone is going through certain stage of procrastination, everyone is feeling bound in some manner. So this was very interesting for me to understand that this society does not really exist in isolation. It is so much interdependent. uh, how a group, a homogeneous group or a heterogeneous group, or how the whole group affects what will come out, was a huge learning this time. कि हम जो कहते हैं कि सेल्फ कॉन्फिडेंस, सेल्फ स्टीम और मेंटल हेल्थ इज सो इंडिविजुअलिस्टिक, आप अपने आप पर काम कीजिए और सब कुछ ठीक हो जाएगा. This totally shattered during the last 2 years. I for the first time understood that no, the mental health does not exist in isolation. It has a huge collective role that goes on. You all have, in a very gross manner, including me, have experienced how fear has affected all of us through one virus, which we cannot deny, which we cannot say that it doesn't exist. Howsoever we say कि हम उसपे we can work on it, we'll deal with it. No, we have experienced firsthand that how it has affected us in some way or the other, whether it has affected our relational world, whether it has affected our career, whether it has affected our near and dear ones, whether it has affected um, our growth stage. It has affected us in many ways. तो ये कहना कि mental health is totally independent and once you work on yourself things will be fine look totally irrelevant to me. And how the support system and how the collective works has put a different perspective altogether. And another aspect that came to me was how integrating within helps so much. मतलब ये तो इतना इंटरेस्टिंग रहा कि अगर हम सपोज देयर इज एन इंडिविजुअल who wants to work on one aspect of himself or herself, another aspect will pop in. तो इस समय तो ऐसा था कि इतने फास्ट पेस में ये सब चीजें हो रही थी कि somebody who came for a relationship will have an effect on career, somebody who came for career will have an effect on the interpersonal skills, somebody who came for death and dying or grief and pain had certain issue uh, with uh, with the family. So it was everything that came in. It was not one thing that was, you work on and the other things will be taken care of. No. So I was wondering how this integration process uh, can help. I mean, how can that happen? How the mental health is more collective, going interdependent, going from intra to inter. So that was one very huge focus area that came into the picture, and that puzzle started to make sense. And another aspect that came a lot from being quite analytic to moving towards something which is more unknown, something which is more very subtle and more intuitive started to came into the picture, because whatever I practiced in the last 14 years seems to not work in the last 2 years. So it shattered my way of working. It shattered how I thought that therapy should work, should go about. It all shattered all together. तो बहुत सारी चीजें emerge हुई, and with God's grace, I came across a lot of ways and techniques which emerged. One, second, which helped me understand through different processes, through life experiences itself, कि क्या चीज ऐसी है जो काम करती है. मतलब एक पर्सन पर कुछ काम करता है तो दूसरे पर्सन पर वो बिल्कुल भी काम नहीं करता. It is so subjective. So that was very huge learning. And how nature plays such an important role in healing process was another second learning. And third is to put things totally into the unknown, because I also don't know how, when this COVID time will be over, when things will come to the so-called normal, and how this will shape us. uh, I also have no clue. But the only thing which I understand is how being together, how the collective process helps, how the interdependence helps, how the self-esteem works, how the mental health needs to be taken care with the help of each other. Was a huge learning. How grief and pain affect us, how following a certain purpose or passion helps us taking care of the other aspect within us was a total game changer for me. So yes, as I said, we are living an interesting time. I myself going through so many changes as a parent, as a human being, um, as a person who is in a certain profession. Is very interesting. तो बहुत ही कुछ सीखने मिला है मुझे एट अ पर्सनल लेवल. और मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि एक बहुत जो बड़ी लर्निंग मैंने कहा हुई है ये, कि जो मेंटल हेल्थ है वो बहुत ही इंडिविजुअल सेंट्रिक तो है, लेकिन बहुत ज्यादा कलेक्टिव सेंट्रिक भी है. कि कलेक्टिव में क्या हो रहा है, उससे आपके मेंटल हेल्थ पे बहुत बहुत ज्यादा असर होता है। और उससे बाहर निकलने के लिए भी जो सपोर्ट सिस्टम लगता है, उससे बाहर निकलने के लिए जो भी हिम्मत लगती है, हाउ इट shapes us is also another dimension that has helped me understand mental health in a better way. So this is what has been my experience, and it is still going on. Um, yeah, each day is a new learning, and that is what I feel I would like to share, and I shared. If anyone has any question, it will be good, because मुझे तो ऐसा लग रहा है कि मैं पता नहीं अपने आप से ही बात कर रही हूँ, मुझे पता भी नहीं है कौन है सामने। तो मुझे जो लगा वो मैंने शेयर किया है। आपको अगर कोई सवाल है या कुछ लगता है, then talk about or discuss or share. It's more of a sharing which I'm doing currently. So feel free. If anyone has any question or would like to ask, uh, please feel free.
Thank you, Poonam ma'am. There are some questions in the chat box. I will quickly take those. So, Ms. Ani Shankar, she has asked that what are the top three tips that you would give startup founders who may be solopreneurs? That is the first question. What if additionally these founders are women, married, with kids, and home responsibility? One main would be to develop a support system around us who are empathetic and supportive, but considering cultural play in typical Indian family scenarios.
So, what is the question, Amartya?
So the basic question is, I guess, what if I did, like I would quickly unmute Ani if we can just. Uh,
Yeah, sure. Uh, Hi, how are you doing?
Hi.
Thank you so much for the session. And I came online because you said you're talking to a board, and I'm not sure if there are people listening to you. We're very much listening. My question to you is I think most people here on the board, they're all startups and really working hard towards making their startup work. But at the same time, it's not separate bubble that we are in. We still have to do what we have to do in life in terms of family and relationships and 100 other things, especially as women and who are married, who have kids, who are taking care of their, I don't know, father-in-law, mother-in-law, stuff like that. What are the 2 3 tips that you would give so that we are aware that we are not going to reach some kind of a burnout stage. We're just aware that, okay, this is not the right place to be heading. Let's just step back and get into a better mental space. What are the 3 tips that you would suggest that we imbibe so we don't go down that route where we'll get burnt out?
That's interesting. I'm myself in that situation where, I have a profession and I have a family, and that too, I have 2 kids. As I said, I have a 16-year-old son and a 6-year-old. So there's a huge gap between the two. Plus, as I mentioned, that I myself went through so much of grief and pain as I lost my father too. So, yeah, 3 tips. I don't know whether it is the top three, but this is how I have, assimilated these last 2 years specifically through my life and through what kind of the kind of cases I come across. One is taking care of the self. The time that you give for reflection, contemplation is the most important thing because that is how I can make sense of what is going on, because the way things pass is so fast. Every day passes so fast that you don't get that time to understand or assimilate or integrate what is happening. So the first, the most important thing that has helped me all throughout during my illness, like the second phase of COVID itself was so difficult, the second wave, that we in fact the whole family went through a huge issue. So what helped me during that time was my ability to reflect, to contemplate, uh, and to be focused on what I want has helped a lot. So one is surely taking care of the self in terms of contemplation, inquiry, reflection. One. Second is asking for support. I mean, we don't exist in isolation. That is for sure. I ask for support from anyway, whether it is my kids, whether it is my maid, whether it is my family members, whether it is my professional world, I seek or ask for support. I do that. And third is care, care, care for, because I'm in a profession where I'm a caregiver, more of a, I'm giving care to my person who's in front. So same goes with any human being. You are you hold your startup. It's something which you are. If we put it in a same format as human development cycle, it's from idea to fruition. It itself is a stage. It requires a certain stages. It's a product developmental stage or the human developmental stage. It is same as you know a startup goes through that stages. The third aspect is care. How are you holding the baby and how the care is happening, whether it is happening over care or it is discounting or it is completely switched off, what is happening. So the care, holding the intent of care, that itself is a huge topic, that is one at a time. So care, these are the three things that I kept in mind somewhere. One is self, second is support, and third is care. These are the three things that help me sail through. I
Thank
hope I answered. Just a
Yes.
second. Yeah, is there anyone who wants to ask?
Yeah.
Because I'm on the
Hi.
phone,
Hi.
so I really can't see. I mean,
Yeah. Okay. Can
yeah,
you hear
you
me,
can.
man?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. It's been really great. I mean, a professional person who is opening up about themselves is really great to hear for first time. I personally had been in a challenging situation for last 10 years. It's a chronic illness, psychological illness, and surviving and prospering in it. So that comes with something. And one question I wanted to ask, like being in entrepreneurship, burnouts are quite inevitable. So they happen quite frequently for people like me or many other people, I presume. So how to, a few tips, like when we are in that difficult time, how to persist in that situation.
Yeah, I don't know how to answer that because you're talking about the burnout. Burnout itself means that it is burning you. So it is
True.
almost crossed the stage where you where there is a certain we say that in psychological term we call it a lucid interval. I mean there is a gap in between where you can think, okay, where you can think, you can feel, you can act. So you're talking about the stage where it has burnt.
Yeah.
So that is a time when it is very difficult to even understand what we are going through. So it will be great if we can pause and see what is burning. What
Yeah.
is it that's burning? So is it my idea that is burning? Is it my relation that is burning? Is it the passion itself that is burning? So what is burning? We are different paths within. I mean, are my senses burning? I mean, in fact, what I've seen in the last 2 years with the youngsters, specifically in the age group of 25 to 35, in fact, 20 to 35, their senses are becoming crude and crude. I mean, they binge eat, they binge watch, they are addicted in all the areas. It is so addictive. They are addictive in relation, they are addictive in food, they are addictive in their senses, Netflix, Amazon, shopping, everything. I mean, anything they are doing, they are binging towards. So we are burning our all the aspects, whether it is emotion, whether it is our senses, whether it is our passion, we are literally burning it or binging it. So you need to find out which part of me is burning. So that's first part, and then we can work on it. If you're
Okay.
already burning, then I think you require a certain, soundboard where you
Yeah.
can really speak up and talk about. It
Yeah.
becomes a little difficult to do it on when it is burning. So it is
Okay.
better that that burn goes off and there is certain water that's thrown and then you can think.
Hmm.
So during burning it is difficult.
Yeah. Thanks
So
a lot.
take care of the fire.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Anybody else has any question? It's 5:38. Yeah.
Just want to inform that, guys, if you have any question to Poonam ma'am, you can unmute yourself and ask it. Any other question in the room?
Ma'am, will it be okay if I ask one more?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So seeking support, that was one more thing, and that is, in my opinion, a very challenging part as well. Like when we are seeking support, we inevitably become vulnerable to a lot of things. Like when we are opening up, and then where to seek that, and how to approach the whole support seeking process. Like we are already in a lot of trouble, and when we go to someone, like it can start from a simple suggestion, which might come as a very different thing to the person who is suffering. Like so the overall part of seeking support, how to approach it and how do you go about it?
That's a good question. As I mentioned in the whole, I think in the whole talk, I mentioned that in the last 2 years we are going through a huge process of unfolding of fear. Collective fear has come up because of a small virus, which is very, very true, which exists, which is still existing, and it is unfolding in its own way. So, as a society, also, I think we are very trust deficit society. I mean, trust is a big, huge issue. So with trust comes all the aspects. So one of the aspects of trust deficit is, not being open, or, vulnerability is a weakness rather than a strength. So I wonder where, you find yourself uh, or feel yourself comfortable where there is trust. So open up at a place which you feel you have trust while opening up. So it can be any place. It can be a counselor, it can be a beloved one, it can be a professional person, it can be your friend, it can be a family member, it can be, in fact, a statue or a murti. It can be any place where the trust is uprising rather than, downlifting you. It is uplifting rather than, making you think. So see, because vulnerability is, goes hand in hand with trust. So see where it emerges. Wherever it emerges, just open up.
Yeah, that's a great insight. I believe that's a great insight. Yeah. Thank you.
So, is there any other question in the room? Like if anyone is facing any sort of uh, challenge in the COVID situations, they can. All right. So, Aniji, you want to ask anything or?
Not particularly. I'm noticing that there's nobody really sharing anything. So I thought I'll just talk a little bit, if that's all right. Basically, I think a very valid question the previous person asked, I think Ranjit asked. So if, there are so many things that's going on with all of us, but to suddenly share it on a platform like this where we don't know anyone, how comfortable is that going to be? So I think there will be hesitancy in openly sharing that unless we have created a bond between us. I know that it's going to be fine, it's non-judgmental, and Poonam is going to hear me out, and maybe something good's going to come out of it. So fantastic session, but I'm not really sure if this is a place where they can, in the first step, share what are the challenges that are happening. Is a thought that I have, but that's for you guys to take away and see if there's anything else as a initiator that you can do to get us to that space where we can share? Because definitely as a startup, I know that I've had a lot of trouble in the COVID times, not only on the business front, on multiple fronts. I also lost my parents in the second wave, which was a big thing. And I have a family with, two generations. I stay with my in-laws, and I have a young son who's also a special needs child, and I'm running this business of mine. But I think I've been very lucky because I have good people who support me, who trust me, who can uplift me, like what Poonam was saying. Having said all that, there are definitely challenges where most of it we kind of need to figure it out. We're always looking at somebody where we can bounce off a few things, get some, and get back onto track. And one of the reasons that I earlier asked the question to Poonam was much earlier in my startup, we were so gung-ho about getting things done, making it happen, etc. I did go through a stage of burnout, but I didn't even realize that till after I had a little bit of illness and things like that. Only then you contemplate. When you look back, you realize, okay, I was probably going through a burnout kind of a thing. But but I also figured out, how do we make sure that you're aware of what you're going through? Are you taking in too much? Are you able to handle what's going to come forward? I think just being conscious about how you feel is one of the first steps to ensure that we don't go towards the burnout stage, is what my experience has shown me, at least. Maybe Poonam can add to that if that makes sense. Just being conscious, just being aware, looking inwards, like you said, just sensing how are you going down the stress route? Are you okay? And having something like a yoga or something else where it distracts you for a couple of hours but keeps you healthy, your mind space is better, making sure you take a small time out, even if it's just before you head to bed, or play time with your child, something like that, which really makes you feel better. It takes your mind off. Those are small things that I have inculcated, which I thought makes a lot of difference in terms of keeping my mind space in a better position to tackle the next day. So those were some points I thought I can share.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. That's interesting. I agree to it. Whatever you're saying, I agree with that. I second that.
Right. So I guess there are no more questions for this session. So thanks a lot, Poonam ma'am, for joining us and spending this time with our startups. Like
Thank you. Thank you so much, Amatya. It was
addressing
interesting.
the questions. Yeah. Thanks a
Yeah.
lot, ma'am. Have a
Thank
great
you. Thank
evening.
you. Yeah. Have a good day and enjoy yourself, enjoy your time, and enjoy your work. Thank you. Thank you. All the best. I'm leaving right now, Amatya.
Right. Thanks a lot, ma'am.
Yeah. Take care.
So to everyone, we are moving ahead with the topic 2 for the day, or I would say the uh, topic 6 for the training bootcamp. This is around understanding the basics of finance, and we have a very special mentor for this session, Mr. Shishir Tulkar, who is a chartered accountant and founder director of Usha. So talking about Usha, it is a training institute which is imparting trainings at various schools, colleges, and social organizations. Mr. Shishir personally is a faculty for orientation program and general management and communication skills program for the chartered accountant students at Nagpur branch of ICA. and he's also a faculty for Indian Revenue Services officers at National Academy of Direct Taxes. So I guess we have him in this room, and I would quickly hand over this session to Shishir sir. Welcome, sir.
Yeah,
You may
thank you,
take this
Amar.
ahead.
Thank you very much. So, guys, welcome to one of the very important aspect as far as the startups are concerned. Or startup, I will not say startup. I will say the business as such, because most of the people, as I got information from the Lemon School, that most of you have already started with your venture. You have started with your startups journey. Someone have started the business or the basic process as far as the business is concerned. So I will start with the scrap, that means from the basic, I will start so that those who are not taken the basic things as far as the business is concerned. And I'm not using any PowerPoint or something. I will use the whiteboard. And with that, I will uh, use, okay, host has disabled screen sharing. Okay. Amartya, can you please allow me to start my sharing?
Right, sir. Can you try again?
Oh, I will just use the whiteboard. I will not need anything else. Fine. Okay, so I will be using this board and I will just write it down the topics which I'm going to discuss, and accordingly we will simply start doing the things. Fine. The first aspect which I'm going to discuss with you is the general aspect of business. Whatever you might have learned or whatever you have heard about business as such, as an entrepreneur, wherever that my thought came to your mind that you want to become an entrepreneur, you started that journey as an entrepreneur. So there are certain general aspects which every business needs to be take care of it, and these are the basic parameters on which every business stands. So, as a startup, it is rightly said by so many learned people, those who are mentoring the startups, like our Lemon School is there. There are certain basic formats of business. Means, if you see, there are various aspects as far as you can start business as a proprietor. You can take one or two person and you can start a partnership firm. Why I'm telling you all these things, I will come to you, because every business entity has got certain aspect as far as income tax act and other different acts are concerned. Then there is a business format called HUF, that is Hindu Undivided Family. There is a concept in income tax act and accordingly the business can be done by an Hindu Undivided Family. This is a very common aspect which you all know. Company, it can be a private limited and it can be a public limited. So these are certain business types, and why you can choose different aspect out of it that I'm going to discuss, and then I will jump to the part of finances, or what basically you will need in future. And company can be a private limited company, it can be a public limited company. There is another concept which is driven by Companies Act itself, that is called limited liability partnership. So it is more or less similar to companies, uh, we can say, but these are not companies; these are the partnership firm. But these are governed by the Companies Act, so you get certain visibility as far as the business is concerned, and the stability which people or the investor look into any business entity as far as startup is concerned. So LLP is another form wherein you can start business being an LLP. And finally, there are different aspects which normally we people don't deal. That is called trust or AOP or BOI. So these are things. If anyone amongst you is a commerce graduate or has taken the commerce lesson, so they might be knowing these concepts. So, my dear friends, why I'm emphasizing on these particular aspect, because many times when I conduct session for the startup, they first ask, "Sir, can we start a business as a proprietor? Because I am the single person. I have got that idea in my mind, and on that idea I'm working, and I have started my business. So, can I start the business as a proprietor?" There is no harm in starting business as a proprietor. Reason being, you're the single person, whatever money you have got, you're invested, whatever brain you have got, you're invested in that business, and accordingly, you're doing the business. But my dear friends, as an startup, everybody looks for funding, and proprietorship business don't have got that kind of standing in market. Reason being, if I want to emphasize on certain thing, if I have to put my trust on you as a business person, so everything is there in the hand of a single person, and if that person goes away, everything goes away. If I say this in Hindi, होता यूं है कि इंडिविजुअली कोई एक पर्सन पूरा का पूरा बिजनेस रन करता है, और उस बिजनेस में अगर वो इंसान ही नहीं है तो बिजनेस ही नहीं है. So suppose any investor wants to invest in your organization, that person wants security for the money he or she has invested in your business. And if that person is not getting security, how he or she is going to invest in your business? So as a business person, this particular concept of proprietorship, I will ask you not start business in this particular category. You can start business, but if you want funding, then people will trust to only an established organization. They will not trust on a proprietorship firm, not even on a partnership firm, not even on a Hindu and divided family. They will trust only on a corporate entity that is called company. It can be a private limited, but or it can be a limited liability partnership. I'm not jumping towards the public limited part, because when you're starting the business, we are at a very small amount of money, and we are just having limited resources with us as far as finances are concerned. So private limited company is a very good option through which you can start the business. And if you want funding, people will ask for certain equity. You might be looking to that investor awareness program called uh, Shark Tank or something. It is going on the uh, television. So there you might have got certain ideas, or those who are not seeing that, you can go through that program and you will get a different aspect which an investor looks into the business. So my dear friends, these are the certain general aspect through which you have to do the business. So I will suggest, out of these 1, 2, 3, 4 aspect, forget about trust, AOP and VOI. Out of these certain aspect, you should go for the private limited part as a company, because if you have got a registered company, you have got a certain entity that is, in the eyes of law, you are established as a business organization. So there is one question you can now erase from your mind, that whatever business you do, start as a private limited company or as an LLP, because in private limited company there are certain aspect which you have to comply. Business requirements are there. But if I talk about this LLP, limited things are there, but you can start business as an LLP also. There is the concept called limited life partnership. Through that, you can go ahead. Fine. So these are the certain parameters through which you can start the business. And after doing the business, you can go ahead as a startup. So this was the first point which I wanted to discuss upon the general aspect regarding the formation of business, through what entity you will do the business. So the best aspect as an entity, as a business entity, is a private limited company through which you can start the business and you can run the business. Initially, you will you need to spend certain money for registration every part, but if you want certain kind of trust in your business, then private limited company is the best option through which you can move ahead. Fine. If any person wants to ask any question regarding registration part as far as the business entity is concerned, you can simply unmute yourself and you can ask your question, or you can even write down in the chat box if you have got any question. Otherwise, I will move ahead as a part. Fine. Anybody, if you have got any question, I will just stop the sharing over here so that I can see your questions and everything. No questions?
Shishir?
Okay, yeah, please go
We
ahead.
have got one question here.
Okay,
It is from Mr. Ranjit Desai.
okay,
He's asking, is there asking to say something about on OPC?
okay, fine. OPC is a kind of only one person company. And again, just let me see who has asked the question. It is from Ranjit Desai. Okay. Ranjit, OPC is a single person driven company, again having the perpetual succession as far as the Companies Act is concerned. But again, people don't rely on OPC also, because what happens in OPC also, there is single person, single director is there. The key person will be only the one person. So because of that, what happens? People don't rely much upon that. And if you are going to give equity even, but there are certain restrictions as far as Companies Acts are concerned. So better you go along with what you say as an private limited company. That will be good, because investor will have trust on these registered companies. They will not have trust on the again OPC. OPC comes under the Companies Act, but the rely as far as the organizational part is concerned is more on the private limited companies as compared to the OPC. There is another question in the chat. Let me read them. How to register as a production company in agriculture? Okay, fine. As far as agriculture is concerned, we can convert OPC into private. Yes, 100% you can convert OPC into private limited company. Just whatever requirements are there, the two director, the minimum capital clause. If you fulfill all those clauses, you can go along with that. As far as production companies are concerned, yes, you can register your organization as a production company. There are certain section 25 companies, they call it as company, and in that you can register as a production company, and through that you can again get the standardized form. So on the registration part, I will not discuss much about that. One-to-one we can discuss, because otherwise what will happen, we will go full in detail on the registration part. But I just wanted to make you sure that as an organization, go along with the private limited company. That will be good. OPC you can convert into a private limited company if you fulfill the requirement. And again, the production company, as a production company also, you can register. Fine. Any other question regarding this aspect of registration part? Okay. Let me move ahead on the another part which I wanted to discuss today. Fine. In the general aspect, the second part which I wanted to discuss is regarding the first important thing, that is called bookkeeping. Bookkeeping, or you can simply say accounting. Accounting is a very common word, and many a times the startups, whatever amount they invest in their business, they even forget, or they ignore the aspect of bookkeeping or accounting. My dear friends, I think there's another question in the chat box. Okay, fine. No issue. Fine. Okay. Zarur, thank you. No issue. Most welcome. We are there for next 1 hour. So, bookkeeping or accounting, there's another part wherein the startup should pay attention. Reason being, what happens whenever we start in a business, we invest our money and we don't have track on the expenses or whatever income we are generating out of the business, then as a business person, you will not got to know that what you are getting out of that business. So being an entrepreneur, you should always be very thorough on this bookkeeping and accounting part. What happens if you are invested 100 rupees in your business and you don't have the track of where that 100 rupees you spent? So what will happen over the period of time if any person comes to you and ask how much wealth you have got in your business, and you don't have the proper record as far as your accounts are concerned? If you are not recording any financial transaction in your books of account, or even you are not keeping a proper record of whatever transaction you are doing in your business, then it shows certain disrespect regarding the business, I will say. So better whatever transaction you do as far as business is concerned, so you should record those transactions basically. And what happens, many times people get confused in these two terms regarding expenditure. So I'm just putting some light on that, because what happens, the person, those who don't belong to the accounting fraternity, those who are not taken the what you say commerce lesson, they always get confused between expenditure part. If they spend money on certain expenditure, they treat that whatever money they spend, they say it is an expenditure. But many times what happens, that expenditure get converted into asset also. So let me just distinguish between these two aspects called expenditure and expenditures versus assets, I will say. So I will take certain example versus assets. So what happens? Suppose you buy you spend certain money on say your I'm just taking example of one business so that it will become easy to understand between the business expenses as well as personal expenses, and then I will move toward the part of financing also. So I'm just taking example of a startup, say just example, any startup over here, say the agriculture company, which he has asked a question. So since he's into, I'm just imagining myself, I'm not knowing what kind of business you're doing. I'm just giving an example. Certain, suppose a person who is into agriculture farming, say in the farming business, and he's producing that farm product and he's selling through startup, I will say. And what happens for keeping eye on the farm or just to track whatever business activities is happening in the farm, or whatever cropping activity or farming activities is being taken care in the farm, the business owner set up a CCTV camera, the DVD or whatever different assets they require. So the business owner purchases a CCTV camera, then a big screen on which the people can see what is happening in different part of the farm. Suppose the farm is spread across multiple acres of the business. And what happens, this particular gentleman who is doing the business of agriculture, he buys CCTV, then he buys TV, he buys certain seeds, he buys certain fertilizers. Fine. And many other things. I'm just giving example of these 4-5 items. I'm just highlighting with a different color so that you guys can understand. So this is in red. This is in yellow. Okay, all things will get converted into the same because it is in the same form. Oh, fine. So CCTV, suppose you have spent certain bucks, say 20,000 you have spent on CCTV connection, the cables, the camera, and all those kinds of things. And you bought a TV of say 50,000 or something. So total amount spent on CCTV and that TV, CCTV, or we can say the CCTV setup. Certain, suppose you have spent 75,000 rupees on this setup. So this 75,000 setup you are going to use over a period of time. एक ही साल में पूरा का पूरा CCTV का यूसेज नहीं करने वाले. It will go over a period of time, say 1 year, more than 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, and as it is an electronic item, whatever the durability and quality of the electronic item is there, it will last for more than 1 year. So my dear friend, whatever amount you spend for your business, underline the word business, I'm saying, whatever amount you are spending for your business, and if you are getting the benefit out of that expenditure for more than a year a time, that particular expenditure is called as asset. Means the expense got converted into asset. So if you have spent this money for CCTV and TV, although it is an expenditure, but that expenditure is going to give you benefit for more than 1 year. That's what that expenditure is called. The expense is done for creating an asset. This TV becomes your asset. The CCTV system becomes your asset. On the other side, if you're spent money for seeds or fertilizer, there are certain seeds which are going to be used over a period of time, and they will give benefit for more than 1 year. But my dear friends, once you sow that seed in the farm, the benefit you are going to get utilized within a year only. आपने कोई पौधा लगा दिया और उसका आपको भले ही उससे फल over the period of time मिलने वाले, so that standing crop will become your asset, but the seed which you are sowing in the farm is not your asset. It is an expense which you are done for the doing that business. और उसका benefit आपको भले ही over the period of time मिलेगा. So standing trees, say for example, someone has grown up any jungle kind of thing, and he has got so those palm trees and like that. So those standing trees become asset, live asset, it is called in the terms of business. So those things will become asset because the use of those trees will be used over the period of time. But if you are sowing a seed or using a fertilizer just to keep your farm fresh or away from the inside, so these kinds of expenses, they are called as expenditure, and you have to treat these things as a business expenditure. So many times people get confused because before this, I have taken certain session wherein I spoke about this particular topic and people were getting confused. That's why I highlighted on this particular aspect, business expenditure versus asset. But on the other side, what happens? Many times people spend money out of their own pocket, many times from their saving account, from their say from their saving account, from their personal credit card for the purpose of business. If you're spending money out of your personal pocket and again the money is spent for the purpose of business, then you should record that transaction in your books of account as a business and show that entry against the capital investment by the say the proprietor. If you are proprietor, if you are director, then show that the investment or the kind of short-term loan taken from the director. Your chartered accountant will definitely brief you about this whenever you feel this problem. But just to keep certain things in mind, I'm just highlighting these aspects. If you're even spending money out of your personal bank account or your personal credit card for the business, record that transaction in your business books because it is done for business. And many times what happens, we do spend money out of, suppose you are starting the business, and what happens, many times you don't do the business formalities, and that's why bank, they ask for certain formalities, and because of that, they're not allowing you to open a current account. I will always urge every startup to have their own current account out of which you should spend money for your business so that your business visibility as far as finances is concerned will become good in the eyes of banker. And in future, if you want to approach that banker for loan, so they will see what kind of transaction you have done in your current account, and that will become easy for the banker to finance you certain sum of money. And it will be good for you to showcase that this was amount of business I have done through my bank account. And my dear entrepreneurs, again, India is a predominantly cash-driven country, and many of the traditional people, they used to do business in cash. But we are the young generation. We are the generation who rely on the electronic aspect. So I will urge you to not to get indulged into that cash-rich business. Always try to keep everything on the white paper because nowadays when the taxation system is going up and tax regime is becoming very strong, the government is focusing very much strongly on the what you say, this GST and other different laws. So they are keeping eye on the people, those who are dealing in cash. So my dear friend, just keep yourself away from the cash rich business or cash kind of business. Try to spend as much money you can spend through your bank current account, through NEFT, RTGS, or by making the payment through your check or UPI transaction. So try to do business through these particular activities so that your bank account will show good amount of transaction, and it will become easy for the banker to assess your business, because just by showing your balance sheet and profit and loss account, nobody is going to give you the funding, because I can decorate a wonderful balance sheet or profit and loss account for you, and you go with that balance sheet and profit and loss and ask the banker for the loan. He's not going to give you the loan unless he will see certain financial transaction in your bank, through your bank. Only your bank account will give. Again, I'm talking about building the credibility as a business person. First, through the private limited company, you are generating the credibility as a standard form of business. Another way of generating or making credibility as a business person is doing your business transaction through white mode and through your bank account. Fine. So this is the another aspect through which I wanted. Another general aspect as far as startups is concerned, to know about your balance sheet and profit and loss. If any person is having any doubt about balance sheet and profit and loss, they can simply write down in the chat box, and if they have got any question, then I will discuss on that part. Otherwise, I will move ahead. If anybody is having any question regarding, somebody has raised the hands. Yes, Devesh. Devish, just
Yeah.
unmute yourself.
Yeah. Good evening, sir.
Very good evening.
Sir,
Please go ahead.
actually, before forming the new company, I had made a few expenses, like consultancy fees for some activities. Can I, adjust those expenses in the new company which I have formed?
Yes, this is called pre-incorporation expenses. As far
Yeah.
as private limited company is concerned, these all expenses, whatever you incur before getting registration, the Companies Act, these are the pre-incorporation expenses, which it should be incurred out of the pocket of the promoters, say director, since you are the promoter of that company. So you can incorporate those expenses as pre-incorporation expense in your books of account. Those are the genuine expenses. You can definitely incorporate those expenses.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Okay. Any other person having any doubt or something regarding this balance sheet or aspect? Otherwise, I will move ahead on the taxation aspect, because general accounting aspect, most of the people they know. But what basic thing you should do, I just wanted to emphasize on that. The first thing, you should get registered as a proper business entity. Number two, you should start keeping your books of account, which I said. Number three, try to analyze your business every month. Whatever you're doing, try to analyze your business every month, what you're doing out of it, what you're getting out of it. And whenever you are going towards any funding agency, always try to showcase good financial statements, that is balance sheet, profit and loss account, and your cash flow statement, so that that person will get good knowledge about your business, and they can try to get interest in your business. Fine. So, my dear friends, now these are the basic thing as far as accounting is concerned. Now I'm moving on the another part that is very much important nowadays as far as every business is concerned, that is related to your taxation. Fine. So, in the general aspect, these are the basic things. Now I'm moving towards the important aspect, that is called taxation. Fine. So, what basic things you need to do as an entrepreneur as far as taxes is concerned? So, okay, let me highlight this. Okay. As far as taxation is concerned, there are certain basic prerequisites which every organization needs to do. And these are the basic things. I will not emphasize more on this. But as far as taxation is concerned, you people, depending upon the state, say, for example, in our state of Maharashtra, there is a specific tax called as professional tax. Means if you have started any venture, any business venture, so you need to take registration under the state taxation regime, that is called this tax is called professional tax. I think most of the states in India, they don't have this culture, but various states they have this professional tax. And professional tax, as far as profession is concerned, you need to pay rupees 2,500 if you are a simple business. And if you are crossing a certain limit of employees in professional tax, in Maharashtra, I'm talking about the aspect in Maharashtra. In other state, since it is state law, so I'm not much aware about that. But regarding professional tax is concerned, if you are having a number of employees, specific number of employees more than that, so you need to pay tax for those employees also. And every year there is a annual return you need to file. Every month you need to pay the challan for the professional tax. And this tax needs to be borne by the employer, because you are deducting it from the salary of the employee, but you need to bear this tax on your part being an employer. So keep eye on this particular tax, because many times if you will not avail the facility, or if you not follow these particular tax, so you may get a notice from the government. Uh, Earlier there was the local body tax. Now, since the GST has come into the frame, most of the local taxes has been abolished by the government. But in the state of Maharashtra, this professional tax is still there, because The state government is getting very good handsome revenue out of it. So they have kept this tax, and the government, central government has also allowed to keep this professional tax with them. Now there is another tax which most of the businesses may require, may not require, depending upon the number of employees they are having in their organization. Provident fund is another aspect wherein if you are paying salary to a specified sum of some number of employees, if you are crossing 20 is the selling limit for provident fund. So if you are crossing the limit of 20 employees in an organization, and if their basic salary is less than 15,000, then you need to pay provident fund also. So you need to comply with the provident fund facilities. You need to get registered. But there is good news as far as new companies registration is concerned. Once you get registered as a private limited company, you get this registration under Companies Act. You get Provident Fund and ESIC. ESIC, you might be knowing. I'm just putting this for you. Employees. Fine. This is related with the insurance of the employees, ESIC. So you get registration under the Companies Act itself. Means you don't need to get separate registration. Once you get registered as a private limited company, nowadays Companies Act has made it very easy. You get direct registration for Provident Fund. You get direct registration for ESIC. You get the direct facility of opening a bank account. You need to just give a choice in which bank you need to open the account. So these are the certain facilities which nowadays Companies Act has made it very easy for the entrepreneurs. Once you get registered as a private limited company, you get these registration free of cost. Otherwise, earlier you need to pay more than 10,000 rupees for Provident Fund registration, more than 10,000 for ESIC registration, and your consultant will ask you for more than. Now, in just a sum of 15 to 20,000, whatever you are spending for formation of company, you will get all these registration free of cost. Not provided professional tax. You are not getting professional tax registration. You need to apply separately for that. If your state government is having this particular law, whatever state whichever state you belong, you just talk to your consultant. That person will help you out whether the state is having the facility or the requirement of professional tax or not. Now, another thing which is very much important, and it is again required, that is called GST. So my dear friends, as a startup, you will say, sir, हमारा तो turnover अभी उतना नहीं गया हुआ है और हमको basic requirement भी अभी उतनी नहीं है, तो why should we get registered under GST? So just for the knowledge, I just wanted to tell you, my dear friends, various e-commerce portal they require GST registration compulsory for getting enrollment on their portals. Like Amazon, if you want to get registered with Amazon or some other organization, so they will ask for GST registration because they want a proper registered entrepreneur with their organization. So again, the selling limit of registration, 40 lakhs rupees, and for the composition dealer, if you are not having, there is another facility of called composition that if you are having turnover less than 1.5 crores, so you can register as a composition dealer, as a small dealer that selling government has given. So GST is another important aspect which you need to tackle as an entrepreneur, because what happens whenever you get registered under GST, you need to comply with the two important return every month, that is GSTR 3B and GSTR 1. You can opt for GSTR 1 as a quarterly option also, but the GSTR 3B return you need to file every month before 20th day of next month. So these are basic formalities you need to take care of, and try to be on time. Try to file your income for GST return within a time frame, so that you should keep away from the penalties. Nowadays, GST department is very strict, and they are not allowing people to get benefit if it is not. If don't want to register on Amazon or any other platform, then also get no. It is not Harish. It is not required. If your turnover is below 40 lakhs rupees, so there is no need to get GST registered. It is not compulsory. I'm just I got your question. So as far as GST you are talking, it is not compulsory, because if you are not having that much turnover, so government has not made it compulsory. Once you are crossing that 40 lakh rupees mark, then only registration is compulsory. Otherwise, it is not. What happened when this law, Goods and Service Tax Act, it came in fray in 2017? Various different entities, they have made it compulsory for people to get registered. Otherwise, they were even not even supplying the raw material or certain goods. I have seen it in pharma industry. Means I got because of that I got few clients also. But in 2017 when the GST came in fray, this pharma industry, the people or the manufacturer who used to supply the goods to this retail store, they were not allowing people to purchase the raw material without GST registration. So those who were earlier registered under value-added tax, they need to get converted into GST, and those who were not registered under even into value-added tax because their turnover was less, they need to compulsorily apply for goods and service tax registration. So this is the basically you require. And why I'm talking about these different taxation, my dear friends. Now I'm coming to important aspect for the startups as far as finances are concerned. If your taxation part is good, if you're thorough in taxation part, you're complying with everything, the investor get interest in your organization. If you are good as far as your accounting is concerned, the people get more visibility as far as business entity concerned. And there are various things as a business entrepreneur, you need to keep those things in your mind. And after that, in his online video format course through website, but for social media ad, ask for GST sometime. Yes, that's why I'm saying if it is required and if it is compulsory, then you need to comply with the requirement, Harish. If it is not compulsory, then there is no need. Means law has not made it compulsory for you if your turnover is below the specified limit. If your turnover is above certain limit, then only these things are there. So otherwise, there is no need. If social media platform are asking you to get registered, otherwise, if they are not allowing you to get registered on social media platform, and if social media is your need, then you need to get registered under GST Act. Otherwise, there is no need if your turnover is below that. Fine. Last important aspect. Okay, fine. There is another. Okay, fine. Last, another important aspect before I go to your question, because what there are n number of things I can talk about the basic aspect as far as uh, this account and taxation is concerned. But I want question from your side so that I should know where you have got doubt. I can answer your question. So that will be good, because this is last 30 minutes. I am continuously speaking 30-40 minutes, and I don't know what queries you have got. So basic, your queries will be beneficial for you to know more about it. Last aspect is called TDS, that is tax deducted at source. Just a minute, give me a 2 minutes time. I may get some disturbances. Okay, guys, I just wanted to give certain instruction to my staff. Coming back to the aspect of TDS. Uh, Again, this particular provision is applicable only when you spend certain sum of money more than a specified limit. Say, for example, you are making payment to a professional, one single stroke payment more than 50,000 rupees, or in a particular financial year, you are making payment of more than 50,000 rupees to any professional, then you need to deduct tax at source as far as government provision concerned. Again, the TDS provision is applicable to only those assessees, those covered under the tax audit regime. If you are having tax audit, and if you are you need to take benefit of those certain spent expenses, then your chartered accountant will see whether you are deducted tax at source or not. So I'm not going in detail as far as TDS is concerned, because this particular thing is applicable only and only when you will cross the turnover of 1 crore rupees, and then you need to comply with the TDS provision. You need to take a tax assessment number, that is TAN. You need to take that number, and after that you need to comply with the provisions. So, my dear friends, as far as basic things are concerned, I have spoke about the first, the registration part, as far what kind of business organization you should be. And then after I spoke about the basic need of accounting, you need to make it always clear. You need to segregate your expenses. Certain expenses, say personal expenses and business expenses, you should keep all the track of those things. And generalize a few things I have explained to you regarding how to keep your personal expenses away from your business expenses. So try to keep those things, and don't mix your expenditure with your asset. For example, I have bought this water bottle. This is a stainless steel bottle. This bottle I'm using since last 4 5 years, but the cost of this particular bottle is very small. So it is up to me. Shall I treat this particular bottle as my asset, or 1,000 rupees I have spent for this bottle? So I can treat it as an expense also, because this is a pretty expensive, I must say. And if the thousand rupees bottle is shown in my balance sheet as an asset, so that doesn't make much of the thing. So as far as basic things are concerned, I have discussed with you. If you have got the questions, again, the chat box is there, or you can just unmute yourself and ask me a question. I will, for next 10 to 15 minutes, I will answer your queries, and then we will sum up the session. Yeah. Anybody can answer whatever thing. Since the people, those who are doing business, those who have started business, they might be facing certain problem. So they can even ask those who are not even started, just they are into prototype stage. So they even can ask the question how to move ahead in the business. Fine. So the forum is open for the question answers. Okay. Devish, you can move ahead. Please unmute yourself and you can ask a question. Yeah, please go ahead.
Good evening. Sir, I just wanted to ask one thing. I'm planning to have one more startup, which is very basic. Really, it's not. It's an ideation stage. So should I make a company, another company, and then do activities, or how should I do?
I'm not
very sure about that. I'm not very sure about that idea will work or not. I just want to know whether I should start a new company and then do activity in that name, or how should I do?
Again, it's a choice, Devesh, because what happens, since you are not firm about whether the idea will work or not, whether the idea will crack or not. So since you don't have the assurance regarding the continuity of that business. So opening a new entity, and after that, again, going through all the formalities of Companies Act or any other act in which you're registering your firm. Sorry. So it will be troublesome for you. You can incorporate, sorry, just a minute. What you can do simply, you can incorporate that activity, and you can, if you are got a registered company, so you can just change your business clause in your article or memorandum of association, and accordingly you can simply add on that again another business in your business entity, and continue in the same venture in the same company. And if you see over the period of time, the another business is also getting very good response, and people should fund you for that. So you can split up that activity in two different entities, and you can ask people to get accommodated in another aspect, and you will get funding for different ideas. So there is no, in the basic part, I will suggest, don't go for two different entities. You can simply start doing business with the same company which you are running right now. You just start doing business with that company only, and over the period of time, if it gets flourished, then it is good to split up. Fine. Okay. Shanavas, please go ahead. Please unmute yourself. Shanavas, raise your hand. I'm just asking you to unmute yourself.
Hello.
Yeah,
I am Shanavas.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I have few questions about current and current assets.
Pardon?
First, non-current and current assets.
Non-current and current asset. Okay, you have got doubt on
yes.
that.
Yeah, specifically because I have to categorize the non-current and for example, we are as a startup as an e-commerce platform, and we have with some sellers, we have some like deposits. That means we as a platform, we are depositing to some sellers to get an exclusive offers in the pricing.
Okay.
So that deposit to the seller is categorized as a current or non-current assets.
Can you please repeat what you wanted to categorize?
We are a B2C platform.
Okay.
So sometime for getting an exclusive pricing for our customers, we are depositing some amount to the sellers.
Okay.
Like a tour operator, for example, a tour operator. So we may invest like 10 lakhs to them, and so that we will have at like a 30 or 40% flat reduction for each of our customers.
Okay.
So that is a deposit.
Okay. So Shanawaz, are you going to get that deposit money back from that seller?
Yeah, definitely. Anytime we can, because if we are going to cancel or suspend the contract with such sellers, so we can get it back the money.
Okay, fine. So Shanawaz, for your question, I got your question very well. What happens wherever we deposit certain money as an advance or as a caution money or as a certain requirement as far as the business is concerned? Say, for example, you are into B2B thing, but I'm giving example of a builder. For example, any builder or any contractor who is doing business for government organization. I'm just giving example so that you can correlate with this. So what happens to getting the contract? Government asks certain caution money or security amount. They get deducted from the amount of the business, or many times they ask upfront. So you should deposit certain amount of money as a security deposit. And once that work get completed over a period of 2-3 years, that money get refunded. So normally in accounting term, these kinds of assets are termed as current assets, because what happens in 2-3 years you get benefit out of it. So again, to categorize current asset and non-current asset. So non-current asset means the fixed asset, we say. If you are getting benefit out of any particular asset, say certain period of 1 to 3 years, they are categorized as current asset. And if you are getting the benefit out of that asset for more than 3 and more years, so we term that as a fixed asset. So the deposit which you are paying to your sellers will be termed as a current asset. And under the heading of current asset, you can write down the second nomenclature, that is your deposit, or loans or advances you pay, and you can categorize as a current asset only. It is not a fixed asset.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. And there is one more thing. This is regarding with the license requirements. For example, we as a B2C platform, and the sellers are shipping products from seller places to the customer places. So that time they are using the envelope which is named our names, like Matrimore or something. Okay. So for that is any requirement in legal metrology or some license requirements there?
You're talking about any certain taxation licenses or any
no, like a legal license, I can say, as a legal license.
It depends upon business. Since I don't belong to that law fraternity, so I'm not the right person to guide on that.
Okay, sorry.
But I will say it just look after the business requirement of that particular area, and if the agreement requires any legal binding, then you must go for that, because it will be helpful for both of you as well as the other party. Fine. Okay.
Yeah, because my question is for example, if Amazon is shipping a products from the seller places to the customer places, so they are using the envelope with their names on or Flipkart.
Okay.
So or not, that is my question actually.
Okay. There should be a legal agreement. You must have the legal agreement. I think if you're using those platform or those platform, you're providing that platform. So there has to be a legal agreement between two people, because if any person is not complying with the requirement, what will happen? The buyer or any person who is getting benefit from your services, to whom he's going to get contact in future. So there has to be a legal agreement as concern. As far as licensing are concerned, I'm not getting your question properly. So we will continue on that the later part. Let me have question from Yajana. She has raised the. Yajana, can you please unmute yourself?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Hello, sir, and hello, everyone. I'm Yajna Riza representing Erotic Bhutan. So my question is on the bookkeeping that is personal. Sir just said that we have to record everything that we use we use our money, no, sir?
Yes.
So my question is like, if you are like voluntarily, if you are purchasing office stationaries or anything like, and then we don't want to record it, so is that fine or not? Is it necessary for us to record it or not?
Yajna, I will say, if you're spending that money for your business, so what is the problem in recording that in business? Why you're not willing to record that in your business? Say, for example, I'm using this calculator for my day-to-day use. This is a part of stationery. It have cost me, I think, 350 or 400 bucks for this stationery item, and I'm using it. On the other side, I'm using this notepad every day for recording my transaction. So these are the things which are required to carry on my business activities as a professional. So it is related with business only. So since the amount is small, you're saying that you're asking question for that only, like that if you are spending a small amount, so you must have that habit of recording. What will happen? Suppose you spend say 20 rupees, you bought say pencil or certain small stationery item, pen, pencil like that for your office, and you spend 20 rupees. I'm just giving you example. Likewise, you spend 20 on 6 different heads. Say you bought certain freshener for your toilet or something. You bought anything for you went for a business purpose, and you book a cab and you spend say 70-80 rupees, and you are thinking that ये तो छोटा सा amount है, ये तो record नहीं भी करो क्या चलता है. But what will happen if you accumulate all these expenses? That amount will get bigger over a period of time. And this 20 rupees in a particular day, another 20 rupees in another day, what will happen? It will get accumulated. And if you record that transaction for a whole year, and if you just check that printing and stationery account in your books of account, you will see you have spent more than 2,000-3,000 rupees in a year. So what will happen? Your profit will actual profit you're not showing in your books of account. If you're not recording those 2,000 rupees, means you're showing more profit as far as the actual profit is concerned. आपका profit 2,000 से कम हो जाएगा अगर आपने stationery के expenses book नहीं किए तो. Fine. So that's why try to make that habit of recording every small expense. Fine.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, Ranjit, you raise your hand. Please ask your question.
Yes, thanks for a session. And I wanted to ask one thing about, unfortunately, if something happens that the idea doesn't work out or it doesn't pan out as we have planned. Yeah. So at that time, if we have to close the company and, exit it entirely. So, what has changed in recent times regarding that? And second question is, what are the consequences on the credibility of the entrepreneur after that?
Basically, what happens? Suppose your idea has not clicked and you're not generating any revenue out of it, and you're registered as a private limited company or any other entity. In this case, since you're not cracking that idea, you can close down that idea, and you can even apply for cancellation of registration under Companies Act. Because what will happen if you will not comply with the provisions of Companies Act, your name will be stuck up there as a director. If you will not file your financial statement for a continuous period of 3 years, then you will be debarred to become director in future in any other company for next 5 years. So what is happening? 8 years of your business life you are wasting. So better be, if your idea is not clicking and if you are registered as a private limited company, better to go for cancellation of your Companies Act registration. It will be very good for you or for long term as an entrepreneur, because in future if you'll get another idea and you will start any other business as a private limited company and you become director in that company, it will become easy for you. As far as credibility is concerned, there is no harm in it, I must say. Reason being, over a period of time, so many entrepreneurs, they have closed down one business, they have started another business. That doesn't fall down their credibility. What will happen if you excel in another venture? You will get good credibility in that another venture.
Okay. My question was not necessarily pre-revenue, even if it is post-revenue and we have to close down a venture in that case. So how does that affect it?
If you have got generated certain revenue, if you have generated certain revenue out of that business and you have complied with all the provisions of the act, say for example, you have filed your income tax return, you have filed your Companies Act return, and after proper procedure, you can close down the things. Means you can talk to your consultant, you can talk to a chartered accountant, they will guide you on a proper time. Means before closing down any business, you should comply with all the provisions of the law. Say, for example, in between, this is the month of February going on, and you're willing to close down the business right now. So what will happen? From April to February, whatever business you have done, whatever revenue you are on, you need to file your income tax return after the completion of the financial year in the month of March. In the month of July or like that, you file your income tax return and get those things done. As far as income tax return is concerned, it is a continuing process, so people don't discontinue to file their income tax return. Before below 5 lakhs rupees, you can show any income or what anything you are earning, and you can file a nil return on that part. As far as the corporate requirements are concerned, you can close down the books of account properly till March, file a closure application with the Companies Act, and after that you can get rid of all these things which you have done. Whether you are on revenue or not, that doesn't make sense. And if you have incurred any loss, so in income tax return, you can carry forward that loss for a period of 8 years, along 8 years. So that will give benefit to you. Recently, I met with one person. He was having a solvent plant, wherein he was manufacturing soybean oil. So that company was that company was running more than a period of 40 years, and suddenly because of recession or something bad happened to that company, the business got closed down. Bank have seized the property and all, and after that he fought with the in the national law tribunal, and he get rid of that bank loan and everything. And now the business is closed, everything is closed. If you will visit that place, there is no factory, there is no machinery on that place. I have seen that factory person, that's why I'm giving you example. Now on that particular piece of land, they have converted that land into a layout and they're selling it as a layout. But the company which I'm talking about, that solvent plant, they are showing that loss continuously because this director is having certain loss booked in that company and he's going to get benefit out of it. I think 3-4 crores of loss he has booked in that company. And once he will convert that company land into stock of the new business, what will happen? That continuous loss will be benefited. Loss will get settled with the profit, and the company owner, they will get benefit out of it. So close down all the things in proper manner, so it will become hassle free for you in future, and it will be no harm for you. Fine.
Okay, it had been great, sir. Thanks a lot.
Okay, fine. Thank you, friends. I think it's near to 7 o'clock, so it's more than an hour we are discussing, and since finance and account is a never-ending process, and you can generate n number of questions over a period of time. I think Ashwinji, I have done with my part and the question answer aspect. If anything else I need to deal with, please let me know. Otherwise, you can wind up the session. Okay.
Thanks a lot, Shishiri. Thank you for your time. And I request Amartya to please take the things ahead.
Thanks a lot, Shishir sir, for joining us and spending this much of time and addressing the questions, queries of our startup. We really appreciate that, and hope like these startups might have received some good insight on the financial aspects, and will be utilizing those things like in their future journey with their startup, with their baby. So thanks a lot again, sir. We'll have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
So for everyone, we are done with today's bootcamp, day 2 of the training bootcamp, and just want to give you an update. Tomorrow is another interesting day. Tomorrow we will start this bootcamp at 10 a.m. We are looking for some interesting topics like blue ocean strategy by one of our expert, one of our mentor. We have also planned a very special story sharing by one of our alumni startup who have recently raised pre-series A fund around 6.5 cr. So he will be joining us, the CTO of that company will be joining us for the story sharing. This session will be between 11:15 to 12, and followed by there will be a panel discussion on IP and legal aspects of a startup, right? So there are three experts, three uh, mentors who will be joining from three different companies, and they will be answering your questions and also will be sharing their experiences of dealing with startups in regard of IP and legal. So I would request everyone to please actively participate in these sessions. We are putting a lot of efforts for you guys and expect the same from you to just join us and like take whatever you find best, right? Uh, all the best, and that's it. I call it for a day. So thanks a lot for joining.